Okay, now I can talk, because I forgot to do this on Wednesday, the record button, because then I don't have to get it off of Twitch and edit it.
Yeah.
I remembered this time. That's why,
you didn't do it on Wednesday?
No, I try to remember it, but, this time I was so I had to edit it, and it's a little less quality for this week, but it's still okay. Twitch is not too bad for... but hi, everybody. Welcome to Discussing Tabletop. It is, of course, last Saturday of July 27th. I hope you've had an enjoyable week, whether or not you've joined anybody for anything, if you've hung on Worm, myself, or, saw all of us on Wednesday, Queen. We're here now to chat about topics. And it is I don't think any of the topics are super deep, but they're very interesting topics this week. So,
yeah.
We were chatting for a little bit. We were just going on about, Elden Ring and stuff and how our weeks went. I got distracted because I really do. I've been having a lot of good time in that.
Elden Ring is a good game.
Play it.
Right. Everyone should play it if you like those kind of games.
The thing is, I don't know if I do, but it
I love
scratches
those
the
games.
other itches. I love the exploration, and I'm not going to lie. As much as it's just so superficial, I really like the crafting.
I mean this in the kindest way. When I get frustrated at a boss in Elden Ring, I think if Tantus can beat this boss, so can I. If Tantus can play this game, I can too.
Yeah. Look, I am not the try-hard. I'm going to use all the mechanics.
Yeah.
I summon Latula, and then, depending on the boss, I either throw some form of magic at it, or I go sword, or I go twin blade swords on it. Or I just use the Nox Blade whip thing that does
That's
really good.
Gross.
It does so much stun.
So much poise damage.
It does so much poise damage, and I'm just and not only that, it's it works on so many things. It's just thwunk, it interrupted you. Thwunk, it interrupted you. It's a little bit of a wind up, but as soon as Tula's there helping me out, it works so well. But this is basically figure out what strategy works best with the boss and just repeat that a lot.
Yeah.
Anyway, I do like the game a lot, and I'm not going to claim a lot of skill, so I will try to cheese the fuck out of Melania. We'll see how it works when I get there.
She's not a hard fight. She's only got one heart attack.
Yeah, and I have seen you can technically dodge out of the way if you do it right. You have to dodge.
If you equip a great shield and you do the shield charge, it will stun her repeatedly, and it's very funny to witness.
Mm-hmm. There were just some I've seen some builds that do it that nowadays with a lot of stuff that's really funny. Or
I think
stabby shield
yeah.
from the DLC, which is gonna stab through people. So it's so hilarious. Anyway, I'm eating a donut. Let's talk about some stuff though before I get distracted more by my donut. Hey, there's some secret layers out, and they are, I'm not gonna lie. They've got 2 Monty Python the Holy Grail ones.
Oh, I did see that there was 2 Monty Python. I'm okay with this because I love Monty Python.
So, I'm going to tell you, there's a card here that is definitely not worth it. Prodigal Sorcerer.
No.
But, were you aware of the nickname for Prodigal Sorcerer?
No. What is the nickname?
Timmy. After the sorcerer, Tim the Enchanter.
I actually didn't know that.
From old-time Magic, any type of card that could tap deal 1 damage to a target was a Timmy-type card, and originally was from the Prodigal Sorcerer, nicknamed after Tim the Enchanter.
That's funny. I like that.
The fact that they made Tim the Enchanter a Prodigal Sorcerer is the most ultimate old-time Magic player meme.
Full circle.
I know, I'm God.
I also count. If you've not seen Monty Python and the Holy Grail, please do yourself a favor and watch it.
Yeah.
It was one of the funniest movies ever made.
I can't answer that any of these will be theoretically money-wise worth it.
Okay. I think.
Fun.
Mm-hmm. Alright, you go first, bro.
Fun thing about Monty Python and the Holy Grail, though, is that the it's actually a really short movie because it actually got canceled. So they had to find a quick way to wrap it up because basically, as it was going on, the people were like, we don't think this is going to make money. We're canceling this. And so
Yep.
they wrapped it up, and it's like one of the biggest icons ever. So
Another fun fact: the line "There are some who call me Tim" improv. He couldn't remember the actual name. He just made up the name Tim. He could not remember the actual name he was supposed to say.
That's why I like the dots. There's some who call me.
That's
Tim?
why there's like a pause there. But I do not think at least the first one is worth the price. I don't think
No.
these are very expensive cards.
Birds of Paradise definitely isn't.
I don't think Three Visits is.
No, Buried Alive, I think, has a little price to it, but it's not huge. and I don't
Prodigal
know how
Sorcerer
it's-
is not very expensive. Dismember, I think, is pretty cheap.
I think this is one of those ones where, like, personally, I might later on just, individually buy the Tim the Enchanter on second.
I would probably just get Tim the Enchanter because it's kind of funny.
oh
Look,
wow. I just noticed Bridge of Death is an insta win, but that's
Yes,
also looks
Bridge
very
of
hard
Death
to get.
is. What is this?
Door to
Oh yeah,
Nothingness.
Door to Nothings. Yeah, the Door to Nothings. I don't like the insta win cards, but Door to Nothings is like it costs to fucking get off.
Yeah,
because
I
of
mean,
the mana
because of the
requirements.
way, yeah, because like basically, you have to get it has to be like 10 turns basically.
Oh, I get why
Or
they
some
did.
kind of ramp into that, yeah.
I
definitely.
get why they
Minimum.
did. I get why they did Door to Nothingness because the the joke is the Bridge of Death. The guy asks, like, what is
your
my favorite
color?"
color? What is your favorite color?
God.
All right, I like these. These are funny, but
Yeah,
I don't think they're particularly worth the
A-
value.
A
Uh,
surprising amount
well,
of
one-
thought went into these.
Yeah, this one's
Uh,
actually
yeah.
cool.
The Dark Depths, which is the Castle of Arg and the Black Beast of Arg, which is very appropriate too. Dark Depths is, I think, one of the more expensive cards I've seen out of all of these.
Yeah,
And another Merit Logate token, because Merit Logate token, I bought that. It was like a $7 token.
yeah.
So yeah. So if you want the actual token, I mean, again, like it's funny, it's neat. These feel like probably not going to be value wise. Like if you want to buy them individually, it might be better. But if you want them all as a thing, like or foil or something, because I guess the foil might be worth it. Because some of these might not have been foil before. Like I don't know if Dark Depths may have only.
I don't think it has.
foil.
I don't think Dark Depths has a foil.
It probably
I could be
does, because I
wrong.
think it came during Cold Snap, and I think Cold Snap did have
Yep.
foils, but that would have been that might be the only foil print of it. Because it might have been reprinted in some...
All right, Dark Depths does have a foil, and the foil is $71.
Yeah, so, I mean... There
Oh,
you go.
you know what? Actually, fucking... Yeah, if you get the foil for that, you want foil Dark Depths, yeah, it's like somewhere... You will pay somewhere between $60 and $70.
Yeah.
For
So
the
maybe.
foil.
I think that's the thing when you can kind of see stuff like that, where... the value is kind of, like, debatable, because it's also, like... It might be dropping, and it's a reprint of a foil that didn't really have reprints
Yeah.
before, so... But, again, I like these a lot style-wise, so I can say that about these two ones here.
I think these are some of the best ones they've done.
They've got a lot of creativity and heart. Are they the best reprints? I don't know. But at very least, they match the theme very well.
Yeah, they're very good. They
Yeah.
put a lot of thought into that one.
So then we have apparently 3 more ones that are basically a cross between Magic and these artist designers Brain Dead, which I haven't heard about ever. So I haven't heard about them.
I'm gonna say it. I don't think they're very good.
I've heard of this artist group.
I mean, like, I guess
The
it's...
cards, I mean. I'm not saying the artist. I don't
Oh.
know more
Yeah, I
enough
think
of the artist.
art
I'm
is-
saying
The cards, I don't know
Sorry,
anything
just
about the cards.
clarify.
I haven't read the cards yet, but I know the artist
Well,
group.
they're-
I
no,
do like
Brain
their
Dead
art.
ones are all lands.
Yeah.
Oh, the land ones? The creature ones...
So
the
there's
land
creatures
ones,
as well.
yeah,
There were some creature ones as well. You're right.
I'm going to tell you this. This is probably the best land group we've seen yet. It's still
Yeah.
not great, but they at least have 2 of each land with different art.
They do.
The creature one, at very least, they I know Kiki-Jiki, Wormcoil, and Consecrated Sphinx. Those three of them all have pretty decent prices. I don't know about Meteor Golem, and I don't know about Catacruz.
Oh, let's check Meteor Golem real fast. Meteor
Kiki-Jiki,
Golem
I know it's pretty...
will set you back.
Could have gone up and down.
Alright, Meteor Golem will set you back 25 cents. Catacruz would set you back. That is not the right... Catacruz would set you back $1.50.
Okay, so those aren't the expensive cards. But yeah, I know Consecrated Sphinx. It was up there for a while. Same
I might have gone down, I don't know.
How did I completely miss these cards? Okay, I was like, who's been looking, scrolling them and down.
Chaotic Sphinx is 30... Yeah, Chaotic Sphinx alone is worth the value of the foil.
Yeah, so, you know, I knew they had value. I knew they probably dropped in price, or kind of went up and down again because if different combos come up, sometimes they just go up in price. So I mean that one at least has value for 3 of the cards if you can use all 3 of them. Wormcoil, Kiki-Jiki, and Consecrate are very good cards. So I can say that about Brain Dead. I have a Kiki-Jiki I use. I have a Consecrated Sphinx I got back in the original set, and I have Wormcoil in the deck too. And then they have one more, which is Staples, which is Lightning Greave, Skull Clamp, Soul Ring, Thought Vessel, and Commander Tower, and I don't... This is one of those ones that I'm like, I don't think this has a lot of value, but it's just like if you like the art for that one. I feel that.
Yeah. Commander Tower is not... I know Commander Tower and Soul Ring aren't particularly expensive.
And I think the other two are just other ones within the... These are Commander staples.
Yeah.
Then we got basically Bloomburrow. We're reprinting Planeswalkers as animals from Bloomburrow.
I like that.
It's creative.
That's actually that's very cute.
It's very cute, very creative. Again, I can't say you'd have to check like price-wise for this, but it's a very interesting and cool art style, and I like the idea of it. Definitely, it's kind of fun.
I know Tezzeret is kind of expensive. Tezzeret's kind of expensive.
Yeah, the question is Bloomburrow have that kind of lore where it's like if you go there, you turn into an animal creature?
No, I don't.
I know that. So.
I don't know.
Okay.
I haven't looked
that
it
might
up
explain why they did this, but
no, Bloomburrow's just like the furry set.
No, I know it is, but I'm saying like there could be that kind of like lore logic of like, oh yeah, you go there, you turn into some animal.
So
from
isn't Tezzeret dead at this?
I think he
it's not
avoided death.
Did Tezzeret die? I don't remember if he died or not.
I think he avoided death again. Like I think the last time I heard, he had basically like gotten rid of his arm or something.
He showed up in Kamigawa and then a little bit in the aftermath of that. I just know. I mean, Vraska somehow avoided not dying. I like them. Those cards are cool. I would probably get those if I used Planeswalkers, which I usually don't.
So yeah, I don't know. I think they do have like, here's the thing. Some of these I think are in the actual set that they have them like animal form, but I think they just are doing it to go there and explore rather than a normal thing. Because they do have a bunch of the like in the commander sets versions of reprint planeswalkers as their animal form. I think Ral is like the one that's canonically visiting and turns it for whatever reason as an otter. I don't know if he's transforming or...
who knows? I know, at least for value, Sorin and Tezzeret are kind of expensive. The other 3 I don't think are expensive. Tezzeret I think is a $20 card, or was last I checked.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be worth it. And also, it's cute art, though.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And then I also like the Andrew McLean ones.
Okay,
as far as goes. I can never comment on the actual like gameplay elements.
Yeah, I know. I looked it up just a little bit, just to note, because it was a thing. Apparently, if you go to Bloomburrow, you do get changed by the plane's natural magic.
Neat.
So that's why he turned into an otterfolk, because he went there.
Fun.
Yep. Okay, I knew.
Very fun.
I
don't know anything about Bloomburrow.
It is really the furry plane.
It's a very
cool.
it's a very common trope in things like that. I don't know why. I just kind of expected.
Mm-hmm. The last thing is a 4-card artist pack. I don't know if anyone's worth it. It's up to you if you enjoy the artists and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I
think
that's nice.
I think that art is pretty good.
Yeah.
I like it better than the brain rot.
Again,
Dead.
I kind of go by, there's definitely a combination of, do you want the cards, is there financial value, and also, is it your style, something you like? Because,
I will say at the very least, the art style is very nice. However, if you're more looking for like a value, it's not going to be value. These I think all of these cards are like individually less than $5.
Yeah, they don't look like they'd be valuable.
Arbor Elf is very common.
Yeah. I think Mouse and Wander is okay, but it's not like a great something for a Cascade deck, I think I recall. And your Con of Revenant, I think, would be the most expensive one there.
Yeah, this one's like that. I believe that was most expensive.
Yeah, but I think it's dropped in price certainly over the ages because I remember I bought like one for a deck and it was a little bit more expensive, and then I heard later on it dropped, and it was like, damn it, it's that kind of thing.
Yep.
But
I wonder if the artists get a cut or if they just get paid up front.
that's a very good question that I don't know enough about how Magic supplies their artists and stuff like that.
Oh, and I guarantee you it's all under like contracts to where they can't reveal it anyway. So
I have friends who have done card art for Magic. I could ask them, but I don't know if they're allowed to disclose.
Yeah, that's the thing. Normally, stuff like that, payment terms are usually secret for that reason.
I assume for most cards, it's probably just you pay for the art kind of things.
I will say they were paid above industry standard by Wizards to do art.
I totally bet that they're paid well. Yeah. I'm just like
Wizards
if they get a cut.
Is one of the few companies that does pay above industry standard for as crappy as Wizards can be.
Yeah.
Yep. No, I know that.
I think
they value art, and I can appreciate that.
Like the Secret Lairs featuring an artist, they might have something that's slightly different. Who knows? That might.
I don't know how Secret Lairs work, but I have friends who've done set art for Magic cards.
Yeah. So, honestly speaking, not too terrible. I'd say get it as soon as possible if you're going to get any. If you want to quickly check out the prices, some of these are probably already sold out. Looking at it,
oh, probably I guarantee the Monty Python ones have been sold out. Probably the Bloomborough one too.
Yeah, it's just an unfortunate thing that since they've gone to rather than print to demand, just to set.
Oh, okay. Then they probably do. Then they probably do just pay them once.
Yeah.
They used to be, again, they used to be print to demand, but now they're just like, we're just pay one time, or just do them out, FOMO, you have to get it now, don't think about it.
Yeah, it's just how business works, right?
Yeah.
One of the ways business works. If they actually, valued their cards and stuff and picked good cards instead of just whatever and making it, anyway. There's ways to do it where you don't have to do that.
Unfortunately, I don't know the inner workings of Wizards.
Yeah.
I know. I'm just saying, like, there are business strategies.
Yeah.
So, to be fair, because of the way collectible card games work, I guarantee you it is better for them to do it this way. But there are certain business models, and most of it is around tailoring your fan base to have a certain mentality.
It's the weird thing of Wizards will always, begrudge the second market, but they do everything in their power to keep it alive.
Yeah. It's also the thing that, they just recently, in the last, 6 months, changed that style for Secret Lairs. It used just to be, whoever wants them can buy them in a certain period of time, and that was it, and they would print that many. It's just recently they changed to, we're only printing X amount. Which is a weird thing, because I never feel like there was ever a Secret Lair they did not sell a good amount of.
Guessing that's probably the reason why. Is that wouldn't be worth print on demand costs versus printing X amount of number.
I honestly speaking, I can agree with that. It's not
printing cards has gotten more expensive.
But I also would think maybe if they sell out this quick, just have a bigger group to start out with.
Oh,
you don't have to print on demand to so many, but you don't have to have it that you sell out instantaneously. That at least lasts a little while. Just saying, you'll sell more, earn more money.
Yeah,
no?
But again, then there's
who knows?
You can build.
There's a lot of factors, right?
More.
again, it's I think my lack of
There's no real way
kind
of
comes
actually
out.
knowing how much a set's gonna sell, or how much one of these is gonna sell, depending on like what it is.
I
True.
will say though, printing a set number versus printing on demand actually does get more more reliable returns on your more reliable returns. Basically, and printing smaller amounts also gets you more reliable returns because you know they're all going to sell.
Yeah, I can see that.
So there's very much I can see business reasons to do it, but I also think integrity is important, which is why I dislike that kind of thing. It's just like just sell more and just know that you're gonna lose some stuff there. It's not all about making every cent.
Infinite growth, baby.
Yep.
So, backgrounds and origins. We got information on them. That was the release this week about 2022 or 2024.
I have opinions on this.
They still have some information. They're going, okay. I'll go over the basics then about what they're showing off here, and then you can give your opinions on them. So, again, I'm assuming most people, you're here, you've played 5th edition. So, effectively now backgrounds have ability scores connected to them, an origin feat connected with them, and then 2 skill proficiencies, a tool proficiency, and then some basic equipment. Okay. Similar in a lot of ways. They got rid of the special abilities of backgrounds to give the origin feat. I think plenty of times we've talked about ability scores and how they're. I think it's fine they're tied to background. I kind of like it when it's split between the two. I'm talking about Pathfinder, my preference. Okay, good, done. All right, take it away, Momo, for your opinions about this.
My opinion on this. I like this because I've done this for 4 years. God damn it! This is just how I do backgrounds in D&D. It's a good way to make background choice matter more, other than an ability you're never going to use in the campaign. Like Aglight's ability of you get free housing in temples. Is that useful in most settings? And a lot of settings don't have temples. So you can't use that background feature in a lot of games.
So many of them are not built equally, too. Like, I'm going to tell you, like, I was looking at it and thought about it, I'm like, man, like, I started in the game Momo started, and I'm a sage. The sage background allows you to research if you can find a place with some books. There are plenty of places that just have a supply of information, and you can just be like, well, I can find the answer, sort of. Yeah. If it's appropriate to that area, I can find the answer to a question. I'm like, wow, that's
always pick Sage, because Sage allows me the background feature of asking the GM, hey, where do I go for information?
Yeah.
Versus, like, oh, I can stay in a temple for free. Or, like, some of the, like,
Because players love counting money, and GMs have to base... Here's the thing, like, I as a GM, it's like, every time I've played with players, it's like, I basically have to track their money, because players just do not keep track. Like, in fact, like, Pathfinder is, like, the first time I've seen... this Pathfinder game is the first time I've seen...
you have to track money in Pathfinder.
Yeah.
You do.
Because so much of your power comes from equipment.
Yep. So, but in like 5e, it's like everyone's just all like, how much money do you have? Like Joe's game is, I'm also surprised at how much people are keeping track of money.
I always track my money, but I end up with the problem if I never spend my money.
Like, I think in Pathfinder
I generally
games,
find things to spend them
I
on.
would spend my money, but 5e, I just don't.
Not a lot in 5e you can spend your money on after equipment. Because
especially
there's not a lot of rules for it.
I think there's plenty of stuff you can buy. My big issue is that health potions just aren't worth it in 5e. They're way too weak.
That's the thing. It's like a lot of the cheap stuff. I'm just like, I don't really want to buy that. You know.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like I'm sitting on like Banner's sitting on a pile of money and being like, well, got more money. I can stay in the city longer if I wanted to do more research. It's like it is the. I think it's that thing of like. The reward that keeps
would love more money.
the rewards being offered, you know, you need a certain character for it to be helpful. Yeah, a wizard who's looking for more spells and going to spend the money on it, that makes sense. You know,
wizard is the only time in 5e where I actually spend my gold.
Yep.
Hey, my character now in Tuesday, because I have the ritual
reason to spend money.
I have a reason to spend money. I have to go I can find more ritual spells and add them to my ritual book. I'm the warlock with the ritual spell book, you know? Yeah. That's a reason to spend money, you know? But it's a specific character! And that's why I'm kind of like, you know... But yeah, so I agree it's kind of one of those things that are like... Yeah. So many backgrounds are just there.
Original 5e backgrounds were sufficient for what they wanted 5e to be originally in 2014. But
Yes.
as the game has evolved, they've kind of been left behind and sit in this weird place of you have to pick one because it gives you your skills. But aside from the skills, you're really never going to use the background for anything. Unless you pick like Sage or Hermit, where the DM gives you a MacGuffin as part of your backstory.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one I like. Which one was it?
Let me just look up 5e backgrounds. Specifically player handbook background.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now.
I mean, I guess it's sort of like also... Here's the thing I'm going to say, too. Are they going to say, with the new distinguishing between origin feat, general feats, fighting styles, that can you only take an origin feat at first level?
No, there are other ways to get origin feats. For example, Warlock can take more origin feats.
Okay. I was just
Human also, I think, gets an additional origin feat.
Yep.
Just because, like, you know, things like skilled and stuff I like a lot, honestly, because skill proficiencies are just...
Okay, so you can also select an origin feat when you can also select an origin feat if you choose when you reach a class level that allows you to pick a new feat.
Okay.
So origin feats are just feats that are unlocked at level 1, and then you have feats that are not unlocked at level 1. Which is a good way of doing it.
4, and fighting styles would be if you get a fighting style from your class.
Yes, I believe that's how they're doing it. And I think you can take a fighting style as a feat, is what I think they said in the UA. I don't know if they've said that yet for the actual release.
It does say in this here, fighting styles are bestowed by features in your class. Epic moves are chosen at level 19.
Oh yeah, because there's not epic moves are 19 now instead of 20.
I guess it's also an interesting thing because like the idea of the kind of fighting style stuff does kind of go between a bunch of different classes some ways. So just having them as a group of feats that, you know, certain more fightery type classes can have an access to, that sounds fun.
Yeah, so depending on the game, I always found like Outlander, Sage, or Sailor to be some of the better ones. Outlander literally gives you basically the equivalent of like a whole ability in.
So if you played
original Ranger,
if people have played 5e with me, know I have a penchant for picking either Sage or Criminal as my backgrounds because I find those two features to be the most useful in games. For Criminal Contact gets you information, and Sage also gets you information. Also, I just like playing criminals.
I do like how the origin feats they describe in this article are pretty good, even the ones that are like, at first I thought they'd be lesser. Like Crafter, where you get like, I get some artisan tools. Where you get a 20% discount on non-magical items.
Soldier's also pretty good.
That actually could be pretty good if you get a bunch of non-magic.
Alright,
and then you can craft a few things.
20% discount is good up until a certain level when you don't need non-magical stuff anymore. So that's a good early level bonus, I think.
Yeah. And since it's you're probably going to take that early level, I think Crafter works a little bit. Yes, it can be outshone long term, but yeah.
Healer is amazing.
Mm-hmm. Musician's really good too.
Musician is really good.
Yeah,
Savage Attacker has always been pretty good.
Yeah.
Guild, one of the best feats in the game.
Magic Initiate's pretty fun. I think it's pretty much what it was. Lucky.
Lightning's favorite feat.
Yep, tough. Lucky is, I think, in a way better because you get proficiency bonus now.
Rather than just 3. So you start with 2, but you get up more. So
yeah, and you can give yourself advantage or a disadvantage to something that attacked against you. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that's normal. That's what it was before.
I keep forgetting that. I always forget it can do.
I want to say I prefer the new version of Alert over the old version. Because I like that it allows you to swap initiative with someone else.
that's not bad. You know, it's you get that bonus to your initiative, and then you can, you know, basically strategically switch your place with someone else's without penalty.
Because I'm a firm believer that that 5e really should have allowed you to delay your initiative entirely to a new number, which they were going to do, but they thought it would make the game too complicated.
Wait, what were they gonna do?
So in 5e, one of the original design ideas was, much like Pathfinder, and much like I think 3.5, you could delay your initiative number to be just after someone in a turn. You can't do that in base 5e. To just move initiative down, because they thought the game would be too complicated if they do that. I think they should add that in. I do it as a home rule because it makes combat more dynamic.
It's very basic and it can allow you to combo things a little better.
It's just a base rule in Pathfinder, and it makes Pathfinder's combat a lot better.
Yeah, and in fact, we really don't use it enough. We should use it more.
I unfortunately am playing a class that has to go first to be effective.
That's not what I'm saying is more though for like I feel like me and Joe could combo a little bit better.
Yeah, you and Joe could do it a little better. I just know that at least because I'm playing Wizard always wants to go first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's just unfortunate that kind of like figuring out like combos and stuff. You know, it's not always easy to do for players and stuff like that. It's like, you know...
I mean, but here's the thing. Like Lightning said, it's like, oh, if you do that, then it just becomes all monsters go, then all players go. And that's kind of actually already a optional rule, I think.
Yeah, that is just the way you could do initiative in 5e.
So, it's like... yeah.
I think
it's
just letting you move initiative, yeah, it could be abused like that, but I think having it as a tactical optional rule would be nice.
Yeah. But ultimately, I just feel like, see, that's the thing, is I don't mind that type of ruling. I actually think it makes things easier, so if players end up doing that on their own, okay, cool.
I just think there's a lot of points in 5e where I'm like, man, it would be really cool if I was going, like, after this player.
Yeah, 5e has a lot more of that, just because, like, it's just really hard when, like, you have... when you have concentration spells that get knocked out of you the moment you like cast them. It's like, I cast the concentration spell, now I'm hit, now it's gone, now their haste is gone, now they're tired, they get their turn skipped.
Yeah.
So,
anyway,
instead of helping them because something went between us, they
again,
now
like,
lose their turn.
Lightning said appropriately, the magic initiative is a little different still too. It's cleric, druid, wizard only now, so you know, which is it could be anything. So you could do like because other people like cantrips.
Yeah, they did. They did change. Yeah, they. Oh yeah, so that makes sense.
They're specifying a lot.
Eldritch. Basically, you can't do Eldritch Blast anymore.
So I'm fine with this. Yeah, because Eldritch Blast is more important to Warlock, and then if you're getting the Wizard spell list, you're basically getting all of the Sorcerer spells minus Chaos Bolt.
I mean, also like. There really isn't anything super unique from, like, the Bard spell list either.
No, it basically maintains that Bard, Warlock, and Sorcerer can keep their unique spells to themselves.
Yeah. Like, Vicious Mockery is only Bard now. And Eldritch Blast is only Warlock. I think those are the only two that I know of that are exclusive.
Chaos Bolt is Sorcerer only.
Yeah, I don't...
Which is a spell I don't think anyone ever takes.
Yeah, let me... What's up?
Because Chaos Bolt isn't very good.
I'm curious.
Sorry,
it's a split damage spell, which usually isn't the best.
Make a ranged spell attack on a hit. Take 2d8 plus 1d6 damage. Choose one of the d8s. Number rolled. Oh,
it's a fun spell, but it's not the best spell.
It's random damage type. Yeah, that's not great.
I take this when I play Wild Magic Sorcerer. Because I just like having the most random to Wild Magic.
Yeah, that's fair.
If you're already going Chaos, go Max Chaos.
If I'm already going randomness, I need to do more.
Because either you want a specific damage type, or you want to not do a specific damage type. So this makes it not great. It does a lot of damage, though.
It does do big damage.
So we can talk about Wizards some more with something else other than D&D, but also D&D because it deals with D&D Beyond. So this is an article I saw that I thought would be an interesting one to talk about. So apparently, on D&D Beyond's site, the digital content team has been removed from the credits of the site. That's kind of an interesting thing. According to the article, it's the people that are responsible for content feedback and the implementation of book content on the online platform.
It wouldn't surprise me if Wizards is going to eventually just move away from D&D Beyond anyways.
Yeah. So, these people apparently hadn't been in the physical books for space reasons, but they had been, been online, so they got some kind of credit. Which have been removed now. So, yeah. So sort of like, they were working with the stuff for the books and stuff already, and then so it's like, we're not anywhere anymore.
I don't know, I'm pretty much against not crediting anyone involved. Like, if you're involved to even the most minor degree, you should be credited in the thing.
Yeah, that's the thing is.
At least somewhere.
Again, these aren't yes, they're PDFs, but people use the digital versions of books, and these are the people that are converting these for digital. They are working on your book. They're working with your stuff,
Also the organized play people.
Yeah. So, not sure what's going on with this. There's a statement.
Yeah, there's a statement here. In the future, it wouldn't surprise me if they just move away from D&D Beyond for their VTT. In the future, anyways.
They kind of separate that out a little bit more?
Yeah.
Kind of makes sense, though. Yeah, I can see them doing that.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yep, true.
Sucks for the people who are no longer credited on the work they do. That's legitimately terrible.
Yeah, but books rarely credit a ton of people. They tend to limit it anyway. That's not abnormal.
I think it's a mixed bag depending on situations.
But the fact that they took it off, it sounds like on D&D Beyond.
Yeah, they took it off the website.
So, which is kind of dumb when literally the internet is free. Listing even 100 names would be less than a kilobyte of data.
Yeah, it's there unless there's a specific reason why that's not to do with space or it has to be something, I guess, either business or something within the actual company that there's a reason to remove it. There isn't a practical reason to remove it from the website when it was already there for some time. That's the thing is it was there.
Yeah. So I just there just doesn't feel like a good reason for this. Not or sorry, there doesn't even feel to be a reason. Not even a just no reason. Not even a bad one.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
The only thing I think is they're moving away from D&D Beyond.
I think this other thing too is reading the entire thing here. It also is kind of a little telling because remember there was all that firing and stuff.
Yeah.
This might be walking away from them, but these people also were used to catch problems that reduced the amount of errata the books needed. Because they had to go over everything when they were doing the digital stuff. So that's why, they were doing a lot of that. So we might see more errors in the book and more need for errata if they're walking away from this kind of thing.
But, that depends. Yeah, that depends on if they're walking away from it or just honestly doing something else. Who knows? That's the thing is
Oh yeah, the group was laid off there.
Oh, yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Good job,
so
Wizards.
Basically, okay. So it wasn't that they just didn't.
They quietly removed them and fired them.
That's kind of fucked up.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. It's they still worked on it, so why are you removing their credits?
Yeah. Okay, so apparently, yeah, they were discussing trying to get a little bit more credit in the physical books too in the future because of all the work they were putting in.
Nope. It's got fired. Apparently.
Not only doing the digital but helping with as you said, the organized play and basically being a backup checker for mistakes and stuff. And yeah, they were laid off. At least this one was laid off. So I assume the team, For at least the upstuffing stuff. So I don't know if they're going to replace them or whatever.
Who knows?
Anyway, yeah, great there for Wizards. You know. So this has been kind of floating around, so I did want to talk about it, because I've been seeing a bunch of people talking about this to a degree, and it's more LEGO D&D stuff. Apparently they're coming out with a whole group of minifigures for this.
Ooh.
Which I've been hearing about, this kind of stuff. Apparently... Oh god, it's a randomized box that you're gonna get for one. Oh...
That's actually, I mean, to be fair, that's already a thing that LEGO does.
I know, it's already a thing that LEGO does, but I'm like, god damn it. Why do they even do this kind of thing?
Yeah, the blind box stuff is usually not worth it. Because unless you're like a collector or something. Because I don't buy LEGO because it's expensive, obviously. But if I was gonna buy
LEGO D&D set, it's in a box over there. You can...
That's just too much for my blood.
But
yeah,
it was really expensive. But I'm like, you know what? I've wanted a LEGO set with a dragon for some time now, and this is the best opportunity.
Like if I'm buying a minifigure, I'd want a specific one, or a specific few of them, rather than like.
I agree. That's why I'm like.
Also, shout out to Strahd looking like Matt Mercer.
You're not wrong.
100%.
Does the Mind Flayer come with the Intellect Devour?
I don't think it. I hope it does, because it's not listed here as one of them.
It shows in the picture the little Intellect Devour, so maybe like. They come with little, like, accessories or something. I guess, maybe.
Well, the Intellect Devour. I do like the Intellect Devour. I agree. I was looking at that too.
Yeah, I would hope it comes with it. So I'd assume the Tiefling Sorcerer comes with the little red boy there.
The Pseudo Dragon, yeah.
Oh, God. It took me a minute to remember Saztam. It's the necromancy lich that works for the Red Wizards. Yep. Okay. So a Red Wizard, Tasha the Witch Queen, Scrod Gonzarius, Lady of Pain, Mind Flayer, and a bunch of generic guys.
This guy in the D&D movie, he was in the D&D movie.
And it's collection of 12. If you're interested in it, you definitely could get some packs of it, or you could just do the more practical thing and maybe pay a little bit more for whichever you want.
Yeah.
Especially if you want like one LEGO fit. It's interesting. Okay. One more D&D topic before we can move on. Had a lot this week. So,
a lot of D&D updates.
Yeah. They made some kind of deal with Darkhorse Comics. So they're doing more comics and graphic novels for Magic and D&D. Now, I remember the comics for Magic the Gathering. That was a thing that existed.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, this is what I think. Darkhorse is one of the groups who was in Asmodee breaking up or whatever. No,
Darkhorse was recently released from Embracer Group, I believe.
Embracer Group, that's the one. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, no. So sorry, we talked about that a while back, and I just thought it was interesting that I.
Darkhorse
is expected to stay with Middle Earth Enterprises and friends along with the company's AAA game studio holdings.
For those who are unaware what Darkhorse is probably one of the you got your Marvel and your DC ones are really big publishers. Darkhorse is probably the third largest graphic novel publisher.
Yes. Okay. I mean, like, it's the problem that, like, I'm trying to remember anything other than, like, Hellboy that they published.
Star Wars, Buffy, they did the Buffy comics, they do Alien and Predator, Terminator.
Halo comics.
Yep. Okay. As soon as you mention all those, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember all those now. Those were all Darkhorse. So, Darkhorse was a lot of stuff. They also apparently did the officially licensed Critical Role work, so...
They did.
Yeah.
You know,
those books, I have a friend who worked on those books.
So, certainly speaking, for us to get some more Magic and D&D stuff, it's right up their wheelhouse. I think they do a pretty good job.
Yep, this is very them.
They do a lot of IPs related stuff, so I gotta be honest.
Typically delivers quality, so they're probably the best one to pick for this kind of thing.
Yeah,
and basically DC and Marvel mostly stick to their own IPs, whereas Dark Horse is the one who'll do anything else.
Yep.
It's like...
I really, even though they weren't super great, I really did like the old Magic comics. I had a couple of them. I still might have some of them somewhere.
I wonder if this means we might down the line get more. They might do Magic books again, because that one guy kind of ruined those forever.
Yeah,
the Chandra book.
Okay. They did novels for a while. They stopped doing novels. Then they tried to get back into doing novels, but someone that wrote them basically
butchered a character so badly that Wizards stopped doing them again.
Yeah.
I think I remember...
Yeah, basically, they had established through all their other lore and stories the type of character Chandra was. Yep. And the one person basically was like, you know what? I'm going to rewrite all of that.
Yeah.
And basically...
Okay, that's a Magic the Gathering character.
Erased basically all of her characterization.
Erased all her characterization, and it wasn't just erasing the characterization, too. It was doing it in a very upfront and, hitting you in the face with erasing it. It's like... the fact is, even if you don't mention erasing it, and just kind of erase it, that probably would have been better what he did. He basically is like, hi, I'm erasing all this. He told you up front, which is why it was so bad.
Chandra, famously one of Magic's first pansexual characters. The dude just basically made her straight.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember this now.
Yeah. Which you could have just kept her pansexual.
Yeah, she could have just
There's
ended
no
up
reason.
with a dude and still be pansexual.
Yeah. If you wanted to be with a dude, just fine. She's pansexual. And she had her off-ons with Nisa, which was her current girlfriend at the time anyway. She could have broken up with her and found some dude to be with, She's... I think the best way to describe her is she's like fire. She just goes wherever she can spread. Oh, God!
That's what she does. That's basically how you could describe her, yes.
It is accurate, but I can't believe I said that. I was saying
she is literally... The creative team designed her as a hot mess pansexual.
So, yeah. Mm-hmm. Again, it's just... It was just bad writing. It was just bad writing, I think is what it was.
Maybe we'll get more books in the future.
I mean, so part of me is just all like, okay, cool. Someone did a bad thing. Everyone hated it.
Yeah.
So...
Wizards did a very
But the thing is,
reaction.
it was that...
Entirely?
Well, the thing is,
yeah.
They had stopped for a while, and this novel was their attempt to get back into it again.
Oh,
yeah.
Right. I remember this. Yeah, you're right. I remember now.
It's sort of like their attempt to get back into it was terrible,
Yeah.
When everybody loved their online writing, the little stories they put.
They had to work with the guy to some degree. So, was there no red flags in that meeting?
Yeah, after
who knows?
The only two novels there's the War of the Spark novels, which are both really good, and then it was the Chandra novel, and then they were like, just stop them, because it was real bad.
Again, I think it would be nice if we see them come back. I would love to see more novels come back. At least
Magic has a rich lore world that a lot of people just don't know about.
Yeah, I love the lore.
I have no clue.
The little
about the cards.
five or 6 part lore stories they do for each set, they're always pretty fun.
Yeah,
I recommend reading them.
I think I read one page of one of them.
It's fair.
Also,
but
sort
I was
of
very lost.
on most I think it's a lot better now because we only have one set to visit a place. Because it used to be when we did 3 sets to a block. Mm-hmm. They could use little blurbs on all the cards to tell the story.
Yeah.
It wasn't there wasn't a lot of details, but it was usually enough. You could have 2 or 3 sentences, and it would tell you a chunk of the story. Pretty good. And when you combine them with all those other spots there, they did a really good job of it. And then they had novels and comic books back in the day to even increase it even more. And more comic books, more story.
The big reason I like them is Wizards usually picks a up-and-coming author do them, which gets their name out there more.
Okay, I can see where that. I mean, well, I guess he screwed himself then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But they also had some really big name authors do it. Like S.D. Perry did one. Brandon Sanderson has done a few of them.
or you could be Salvador and just take over
So
Forgotten Realms.
you just own Forgotten, like all of Forgotten Realms characters.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm up for more comics and graphic novels. You know, thumbs up on that one. So hey, you know, not everything can be doom and gloom out of Wizard of the Coast. Sometimes it's not.
I've made good decisions.
So, I thought this was an interesting one to talk about because we do have an idea of where, kind of like when Pathfinder went from first edition to second edition, they kind of updated some of the lore and stuff and kind of put second edition of like what's going on. We know what's going on in Starfinder. They've actually like kind of updated us on the setting a little bit. So that if I knew about this, I don't know if either of you did. Apparently, the last planet, the Pluto of the Galarian star system, was like a giant monster egg. It hatched. You know, I remember that.
Okay.
That is correct.
I did not know that. I actually know a decent. I actually know a small amount about Starfinder lore. Probably more than Pathfinder or than Pathfinder lore.
Pathfinder lore is a lot more complex, I think, in a lot of ways. So
There's just a lot of like.
I know this not because of Starfinder, but because it is where things like worms that walk come from.
Yeah.
It is an eldritch beast.
So yeah, this thing called the Newborn has been birthed, and apparently the module we mentioned like the other week is based upon like some of those energies still around because it hatched. You know?
Yeah.
Well,
that's why it's the cosmic birthday.
Yeah, Space Cthulhu got born, and
Pretty
like
much.
you know, a planet blew up. I don't think they were really expecting it, you know, but it just happened. You know, it's all of a sudden.
I'm wondering if they're ever going to explain what happened to Galarian.
Ooh. That'd be an interesting storyline, and I would love for them to explore that, or explore more of the, like, lost century.
Yep.
I don't know
Agreed.
how much they will. They're still putting forward the stories, like they have, like, the Pulomies have declared independence from the Vesk, that's why they're in the core book now, or the Pulomies system, and the people that are upon there. And now, like, the Veskium, who had allied with the Pact Worlds because of the, like, space swarm for a while. Before they kind of got weirdly nuked and some of them became no longer members of the swarm. But now...
Yeah,
they're...
oh gosh, what are they called?
I can't remember the species name now, because there's no...
You know nothing about Starfinder aside from a couple of facts.
Yeah, I know the basic storyline, like...
but basically, so basically they, I think...
Their version of, like... Yeah. The hive mind spreading and devouring the universe, or the galaxies, kind of came in. And so that drove this, like, empire, the Veskian Empire, with the Pact Worlds and their allies together to fight them. They managed to beat them back. Something happened to the remains of them that basically the hive broke. And so now, like, you do have members of that species, but they're individuals now.
So that happened, like, long before, if I remember correctly. Like, not quite during the Vesk.
It's after
like,
the Lost Century, but in between the time period of, like, that time.
Yeah, like, they, in fact, if I remember correctly, I think it's, like, them coming to the Pact World is what brought the swarm to the radar of people in this area or something.
Yeah.
But, like, they basically wanted to break away, then they came, and then, like, but then the swarm came after, and yeah. I think. I'm not 100% certain, but,
there's a little bit more details on it.
Yep.
But
no, I think it's a really cool. Yeah.
Now we have a adventure for the second edition playtest for what's going on next, because again the Pact Worlds are like the Galarian people left over and a bunch of other planets that have kind of joined with them to kind of like be like, hey, we're a lot of the known intelligent species in the universe. We're kind of going to work together to a degree. It's not quite a federation, but it's more like we don't want to kill each other. So the Aslanti Star Empire, who is, yes, if you know anything about Galarian lore, it's the Aslanti from that got nuked on their some of them were exploring space when their empire got nuked. Because magic.
Mm-hmm.
And now, thousands of years later, they're a star empire. And they're going to go into a battle with the Veskarium. So, like, I guess your space futuristic Atlanteans are going to fight your, like, reptilian Klingons.
Is Atlanti the break-off humans who are super racist, or is that someone else?
The Atlanti are the super racist ones.
Yeah,
they were super racist. They weren't they were super racist, but they weren't as racist, which is a weird thing to say, as the Thessalonians who broke off from them. The Thessalonians were even more racist, which is weird.
Yep.
It's like, we think you're not angry and hateful enough. We're going to break away from you and build our own empire that's even more hateful over here.
Yeah, like, TLDR, the Aslanti Star Empire, Aslanti who left Galarian before the planet blew up the first time. And they founded an empire where they're like, humans are the most superior. All aliens should die.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, you know.
They're your standard xenophobic villain.
Yeah, and they're like, hey, our original homeworld's gone. What's gonna fuck with that? What do you guys do while we were gone for, like, 10,000 years?
Oh, right. I was gonna say something and I completely forgot it at the time, so I stopped talking because we got sidetracked and then I forgot. But now I remember. Yeah, but when it comes to, like, them telling the story, I'm wondering, like, which direction they're going, because there's basically two ways they can go about it. One is they actually have a story plotted out, like some secret select few know the full storyline that they're going to play out over a number of adventure paths. Or option number two, they literally set it up as a mystery for GMs to basically take as inspiration to do weird stories.
I think they'll probably explore it more in the future a little bit,
Yeah, so I'm just wondering which direction they went, because they set up this really big mystery, and I don't know if they're going to be if it's a like one of those and now you figure it out, or if it's going to be and we'll get to that eventually.
I'm not gonna lie, they mentioned something at the bottom that's kind of interesting and weird, because they're talking about new gods joining the pantheon from core, and one of them is Zon Shellen. So apparently, like, did Shellen fall just like her brother Zon Kuthon? So now she's like, there's pain and art? Weird. So Starfinder sounds like it can have some weird shit going on.
I love Starfinder. I think Starfinder is like, I don't know, Pathfinder has always been a little bit like, Like, the lore is interesting, but it's kind of like adding a weird amount of sci-fi to a fantasy setting, which, But I love the concept of adding a weird amount of fantasy to a sci-fi setting. That's way better, in my opinion.
I like both. I'm gonna be honest. I do like both.
I
like both
prefer Pathfinder's lore, personally.
I think...
But I've never played Starfinder, so I don't know mechanically.
I have never played it. I've watched I've watched, people like stream it.
Yeah.
But that's about as much experience I have with it. But
so, Player Core 2. Worm, you have a copy of it.
Yes.
How's it look? What do we got there?
Yeah, so basically they got most of the classes finished out now. Sorcerer, Barbarian, some of the classics. I find it interesting that, those are the ones they kept for this.
It's an interesting split.
Not Artificer, Alchemist. Yeah.
Alchemist,
yeah. Also, I'm kind of surprised at the races they went with. I don't know if these were in the original Player Core 2, but I kind of doubt it, given what they have, because they are the... Where's the... Yeah. They added Catfolk, Hobgoblins, Kolo, which are gnolls.
Oh,
Kobolds.
yes, gnolls, yeah. Sorry.
Yep. Lizard folk, rat folk, Tengu, and Tripkey. So I find that an interesting selection for the ancestries that they added in this book. I don't know what the original Player Core 2 had. Probably kobolds, I would guess, but honestly,
it was players... What was it called?
yeah, the player's handbook too, probably.
If it was the second player's handbook, it would probably have been like the advanced race guide or something.
Yeah. So I just
advanced. There was the advanced player's guide, and there was also the advanced race guide.
A lot of books.
There was a lot of books.
Yeah. So they've updated a lot of archetypes. I think they're called. Which
Yeah,
are
the archetypes.
basically just which you basically can just do a bunch of extra feats. Some of them are kind of fun. So like the first book in the original one, they only had the multi-class ones, and in this one they added a whole bunch of other ones like celebrity and other and like ritualist and poisoner and scrounger, sentinel, etc. Updated a whole bunch more feats.
Cool.
And updated a whole bunch more spells. So basically just got a bunch of covering of everything. Oh, and a lot more items. So it's just a lot more of what was in the other books. The GM core, player core, mostly.
Yeah.
But still interesting. I'd say, there's not a ton to talk about. Because a lot of them are it's just a lot of the same kind of stuff. I mean, the taking away of, the fact that they took away spell schools is interesting.
Well, again, like I think. Oh, that's right. Did they completely remove spell schools?
Yep.
That's
yeah. So there was actually no enchantment, conjuration, destruction anymore at all. Which is why some things will still, like, when I look online, it's like some things are still a little bit hard to figure out. If it's like, oh yeah, you can pick a school, and it's like, okay, well, how would I replace that? Yeah, now it's like, if it's enchanting, it's more likely to have the tag, like, mind affecting, so that might be something.
Okay.
But, like,
so it's got
there
more
are
like
other
tag-based stuff, I guess. Not more.
Yeah, so everything's just tagged with a bunch of stuff. They also added in a concentrate tag, which really doesn't do much. I've found 2 mentions of it that it does something. There's a fighter feat that allows them to attack someone who's doing a concentration thing, and that's the only thing I remember being able to find. I haven't looked through this book yet because obviously it's a lot, but yeah, the concentration tag, I was like worried, did they add a concentration mechanic? And I skimmed through and it's like, no, they did not, thankfully. That's the thing I hate most about 5e is concentration.
I get that, though. Concentration's always kind of been like a little bit.
It just makes it so buff builds are impossible, unless it's like an actual class feature. But yeah,
I find it here. So the original second edition Advanced Player's Guide had Catfolk, Kobold, Orc, Ratfolk, Tengu, and then some had versatile heritages with Changeling and Dampier, and some of the Planar Scion information.
Okay, so Changeling was in the original. As far as versatile heritages, they have Dampier. They have Dampier, Dragonblood, and Planar Scion Duskwalker.
Okay, so because I think I can't remember. It's Campion and Imperium, I think they're called now for Aasimar and Tearfling, and those are, I believe, in the original player core, right?
There's normal. Yeah, there's the player core had some of them. Yes.
So it sounds like it's just a few more because Catfolk, Kobold, Orc, Ratfolk, and Tengu were in the original Advanced Players.
Yes. So basically they did add. So they added Hobgoblin and Kolo.
Yeah, I mean I like
and
that they have Kolo. So the Rooksy and the Kolo are good to add. Rooksy, the Lizard Folk. I do remember some of these names.
It calls them by both in here. It says.
Yeah. Well, again, it's the common versus the name they have for themselves. It's like Kolo are a member of Knowles, but Colo are different in a way, too, because
Well,
the gnolls most people know are one group, which are not the Colo. The Colo are... They are probably a little hard to work with, but they at least aren't,
okay, well,
demon-worshipping slavers.
they actually completely scrubbed gnolls, so now they're just Colo.
Are they
Because
just
gnolls-
Colo?
Yeah, because gnolls are D&D.
Oh, the term Gnoll, so it's just Colo now.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
But do they have still the more... I'll have to look up to see if they've changed, like,
They
more
do
of the
have-
other group.
Yeah, they do have different, like, clans.
What? Well, I would just assume that they're all Colo. Did they have the ones from Eastern Gurun, who are the demon worshipping slavers, who are separate from your main Colo from the Long Expanse? I mean, again, they're changing a lot of names.
So it mentions that there are different ones. There are some that are demon worshippers and others who are, not. So.
Okay. I'm saying it's going to assume the players are going to be the ones that aren't the demon worshippers, that are the normal ones. Okay, great. Okay. I was just checking on that. It's sort of like, I can no longer confuse everybody because it's Sadathi, rather than Sagwin. Now they changed that name.
Oh, that's nice. Sagan are annoying to say because you Sagan, Sahagan, is how you say it, but it's like Sahwagetashoven. It's like how you spell it.
It's spelled in such a way that my brain wants to pronounce it how it's spelled, and it's not correct ever.
Oh, it took me forever to learn how to pronounce them. Like even Sahagan is like hard to say. I even screwed it up a little bit when I first started saying it.
Yeah, so Sadakthi. I think it's better that we're doing a lot of walkways and stuff like that and changes. And I'm glad we're seeing that. So player score seems cool. Seems like it's got good updates.
Yep. So yeah, and I think that's why they did the Null or the Colo, because of the removal of Null. They were like, okay, we need to update this one more urgently than some other things.
Because there's definitely lore of hyena people in cultures, so it's not like that can't be used. But you get specific names and stuff. Yeah, it's cool.
In most situations, only names and very specific lores can be copyrighted. I was reading about one time for the Slod, Slod are copyrighted by D&D. But technically, also their origin of a born from a crystal thing is somehow copyrighted, I think. So it's as long that one you can't steal their stuff directly.
Interesting.
Probably because it has to do with Mechanus, I think, which is also probably D&D. Who knows?
I'll put a link to the book.
Yep. And the PDF comes out August 1st, so basically less than a week.
You do have to wait a little bit for the PDF, but otherwise the physical book is out. So yeah. All right. One last Paizo-related thing. So this was an interesting thing that I just wanted to talk about because it's something that we've heard a lot more negative things about this kind of stuff from, wizards and stuff over the last, a year and a half ago, it's licenses and stuff for Pathfinder. They've kind of they're launching a new page, which includes information on fan content creators, other publishers, to basically able to use the stuff from their material. So basically, not only going with the license they have and everything they've put out there for open play, the thing is they're also coming up with, if you want to use directly stuff from Galarian and stuff like that, and stuff from their direct writing rather than just their, basic material, they've got compatibility licenses that they're kind of putting out there. So it's a good thing to have. It is, again, this is more for merchandising, publishing, and stuff like that.
You don't need to get a license if you want to run a campaign set in their world.
Yeah. There are some
if you want to then sell a book that's a campaign set in their world, then you might have to. But
it's sort of like if I wanted, the good example of if I want to do specifically something for Patreon where I had a specific running of an adventure path behind a paywall that would be something you could theoretically do, but would be under their fan content policy rather than just something like the ad revenue from YouTube or something like that. Because that's a little bit more exactly, it's directly paying for the content, and it is the adventure path you're doing, rather than just playing Pathfinder,
Yeah.
But they do say, like, check the licenses and stuff before you do something like that, but yeah. They have, like, a big fan content policy, and, all the other compatibilities and stuff for more publishing stuff, so... Again, if you're not doing any of that stuff, it doesn't really matter to you, but if you do want to do some small publishing or something like that, it isn't a bad idea, especially if you're doing it for them, to check and look at it. And they've updated all those kind of things, so, check out the licenses. I would recommend if you're going to go in that. Alright. Last topic for today is, Victorian steampunk magic 5e book.
Skipped over one.
Did I? What the hell did I skip over?
You can read.
FF14.
Oh, FF14, that was before now. Okay, that's because I didn't have a link for it. Yeah. I didn't have a link in my pod. So once you,
Hi, I'm here once again to talk about the Final Fantasy tabletop RPG. The core rulebook got announced. Well, I'll get you a non-Square Enix store link. Hold on.
Yes, because that's got shipping and handling up the ass. I mean, it's okay.
Let me grab the,
I keep forgetting when I don't have a link.
Where is it? See if I can.
I just thought we were gonna handle it after.
We'll grab. This is the site I usually use for this kind of stuff. Yes, it is. Okay, grab this one.
Didn't you?
Hey, you can pre-order the Final Fantasy tabletop RPG core rulebook now. I really recommend buying off of a site like this one and not the Square Enix site because the shipping will be very expensive if you go through Square Enix. Because of the way Square Enix handles distribution.
Yeah.
But I have been a big proponent of the RPG since it's been announced. I have the box that I've read through those rules. If you're looking for a more combat and scenario-based RPG system, this would fill your niche versus like a 5e, which is a longer format game by default.
Yeah.
But it's up for pre-order. So if you're interested, it's $70 for the pre-order.
Cool. Very, very cool.
Thumbs up.
Yep. Alright. We did want to shout that out because we've been talking about it a little bit.
It's a new and upcoming RPG.
Yes. And it does seem very interesting. Okay. Now, I'm back where I was remembering stuff. Now that I'm actually as close enough. Just my brain and getting us distracted the wrong direction sometimes. I'm just saying it just happens. So yes, what was I talking about? I was talking about the Victoriana. So it's supposed to be like Victorian London with I guess clockwork technology, magic, social clashes. It's it's the Victorian Age adventures, if you were, or like steampunk adventures, I guess. Maybe clockwork.
Yep.
I don't know the exact thing they're going for because it looks. Isn't clockwork punk and steampunk very close to each other, aesthetically?
So steampunk specifically involves the use of steam power. If you have gears and stuff that does not involve steam, you would be clockpunk. They are similar but different genres.
This is probably more clockpunk because it says it's supposed to be everything's powered by magic. It's the second age of sorcery or something.
There are a lot of these punk genres, and a lot of them are very similar.
Yeah. Diesel punk, clock punk, steampunk. I mean, diesel punk at least is a different aesthetic normally.
Biopunk is a very fun one.
Oh yeah, biopunk.
I guess it's an idea that during the revolutions, industrial revolution, magic came back or something. So it's like Shadowrun, only old timey from our age, but not by a lot. It's Victorian age, so yeah, probably more clockpunk and material. So if you want to check out it, it's a 5e-ish game. You know, it's the ones that we've been getting a lot of, that they're basic 5e with their own kind of veneer paint, which I think is perfectly fine. That's a great way of using 5e at this point in time. You know, just throw a nice coat of paint on it. It's funded with 10 days to go. And yeah. And let's see here. And it's $28 for the PDF and stretch goals to back it. And $55 for the hardcover. That does not include shipping. And those are the basics. And there's more, you know, choices. Is there something else to say about this? Because I think it's just a neat thing to talk about. Say, like, hey, check it out if you want to.
It's a cool genre.
Yeah, it's a cool genre. I like when we see neat genres. And, you know, it's the... We use 5e... You know, it's like, there was a point I think I complained a little bit about using 5e for everything, but I've kind of settled upon it's an easy enough system to adapt in so many ways that it makes it a great thing to use 5e for everything at this point. If you're working from that setup. So.
This one website says that clockpunk is a subgenre of steampunk.
They're related in a way, I think, because...
They're very similar.
You kind of get that... It's a similar aesthetic, I think, is what it is. I think a lot of those kind of like... Well, certain punks like that, is like, you know, that time period are very similar aesthetic. The Victorian age ones.
Frick is Africa.
The journey to learn about the punk settings.
Yeah, I found.
I mean, if you go like far enough back, everything is just cyberpunk with the paint coat.
Yeah,
true.
Everything stems from cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk. I don't know why I'm shaking my fist at them.
That's one of the best sci-fi genres. It's done like so much for sci-fi fiction.
Yeah.
Atom Punk.
Atom Punk is the nuclear one, yeah. Atom Punk is very, very fun. Just like I said, Futurism is one of my favorites, which is a type of cyberpunk as well.
Alright, so I have a deeper discussion topic. I've had it in our chat here for a bit, and if you want, we can kind of talk about it a little bit. And I think it's a thing that we've kind of danced around this topic in other ways, but because there's some of it in the adventure I'm running on Wednesday, I wanted to kind of talk about it too. It's kind of like we're hitting up on that point where there are, you know, probably in Scarwall more basically supernatural traps, aka haunts as Pathfinder calls it, than a lot of other places. And most of them that they use tend to be combined with battles, which is kind of what we talked about before. But I think it's the entire thing of, as much as you get when you're exploring an area, there's a battle in this room. The room itself can be a challenge. Now, is that a trap of some kind? Which could be, you know, physical, magical, or, in the case of a haunt, supernatural. Or is it the environment of the room itself, or the area itself that you're challenging, that is a challenge? It's the challenge of what you have come across. The challenge of the room is something that is an interesting idea, because it's you as a player against, well, most of the time, no one. Sure, someone could have set up the room that way, but no one's there now, so it's just, you're fighting inanimate stuff. In most retrospects. So, I wanted to chat about it and see what we as a group think about, like, the uses of it. Because certainly there is discussions for using traps, you know, and things similar to it, or environments like it, that, like, environmental things like it, wisely.
So, as someone who's run a 5e version of Carrion Crown, I am familiar with haunts, though a converted version. So I have looked up a lot of the 5e or a lot of the Pathfinder haunts. I'm of the opinion that Paizo often does them in a dumb way where they will use them to make an easy fight way too difficult. Like, for example,
Yes.
the room with a mass confusion spell, where if everyone fails, that can probably easily end in the death of at least 2 party members, because he's a wraith. Wraiths can drain con. If you have 0 con, you're dead.
I tend to be like in agreement. It was an interesting thing because when I looked at everybody's numbers and the DC, on average,
What was the DC for that one, by the way?
Like too bad. I think it was like 22.
So I know the standard
like,
betrayal DC is 15.
It was like 18.
Yeah,
okay.
That's okay. I just rolled
pretty
bad.
Damn low.
Yeah, I just rolled bad on mine.
Yeah, most people rolled bad, and that's the thing. Everybody kind of rolled bad, and
Yep.
I think that was something that like changed the dynamic of that encounter.
I think only
Lightning's character was the only one actually.
only Lightning rolled above. Only Lightning rolled above a 10.
Yes.
Yeah, which it's not impossible for numbers to be like that, but that was kind of very mathematically. Honestly, very unlikely, So it became basically the, scenario that this was unlikely. When I looked at it, when you think about some things for pre-made things, I was like, okay, this is kind of annoying a little bit, but it can understand it. It'll kind of it doesn't technically get rid of characters in a way, and it's not something that can't be necessarily overcome or something like that.
Mass confusion is one of the less bad ones.
Yeah.
There are ones that outright kill you.
There are.
There is one that casts suffocation on a person.
Yes.
Wow.
I think that's the thing is, haunts are very extreme versions of I would call them they're versions of magical traps almost.
Yeah, they're traps. They're magical traps, but on the supernatural side. The only main difference with a haunt versus a trap is a haunt is far more difficult to remove permanently, but easier to remove temporarily.
Yeah. It's a juxtaposition in the mechanics of it, but it's the same kind of concept, and it does seem as though a lot of times in the writing, Paizo does go for that fact that not all of them, but a lot of traps are particularly used as a extra thing in a battle. You do see traps it blocks this room or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's the thing that using traps but not overusing traps is such a difficult thing, and it comes to, you want to balance. I think we kind of have discussed things a little bit sometimes about the balance between, adventuring and combat. But a challenge is a challenge of a room, as I kind of have described here, which could be a trap, a haunt, a magic trap, or maybe just hey, there's even if I remove the skeletal guards, which was the challenge there, the gates was a challenge of a room. That was the environment.
Yeah.
The gateway in.
We had to spend resources to solve what they wanted us to do there.
Yeah.
And honestly, I did like that. It wasn't.
Yeah, that was fun.
See, and that's honestly the best kind of puzzle is the open-ended kind.
Yeah.
For D&D at least.
Again, I thought that was a very well-made one. A situation where you're hey, they have this. As soon as you open the first set of gates, you're it's a kill box they have. That if you want to enter the castle, you've got to go through a kill box. And even without the monsters, it was a challenge on its own. The monsters, at a different level. They weren't really particularly tough, but it did kind of add something else.
If we had to shoot through the cracks and up into the holes while standing in the kill box, that would have been horrible.
Yeah.
It's the thing is the guys above could only pour some stuff down once and then they were done. So I mean if you had really fought there, it would have. I
think arrow slits count as heavy cover, even though you can get shot.
I had
the other ones on the side would have had +8.
Things I had to get around the arrow slits would have been more resources than what we spent to be worth it.
Yeah, because that was the other thing is we could have gaseous formed and.
If a gaseous formed, I could have cast Voltaic the big cone of This big storm cylinder that you can just put in a room and it goes through gaps through walls.
Because honestly, as soon as you were out there, you would have had line of sight to both those rooms. You wouldn't have had like very good aim, but area spells can just nuke.
Because the plan would have been, if we didn't fly up there, I wall of fire one side, as first wall of fire's other side. We just go back out the front door and let them burn to death. Because wall of fire hurts undead more. Potentially, we don't necessarily know that.
Yeah. It's that situation was a very good situation for use of a challenging room. I think, again, the concept of the haunt, especially the one with the wraith, it ended up more difficult than it needed to be, just because of bad luck, which is something that can happen. But the concept of it, I don't think, was particularly out there, but it was more of this is something that makes a battle more difficult.
Combat was fine, it's just we all were like trash. Right? Because if we had all saved, that would have been a nothing combat, because it's just a wraith with maybe some buff stats.
Yeah, it was a buff wraith. He was
it's
like
just a dude.
He's like I think a CR11 wraith or something, which is pretty tough. But you were level 13.
We're level 13, and it would have been a lot of dudes versus one guy. We would have had the initiative on him.
Yeah,
right?
Honestly, it was very good. That
it was only
lightning could completely.
It was only a concern because someone was a dinosaur. That was the only concern.
Honestly,
that was the issue. There was a dinosaur in the room that was confused.
As soon as you went in there as the Allosaur, I was like, yes! But
that's the main problem.
Hold on, I want to look at
What's worse is you didn't get to use it in combat.
I know, but Evil
That's
GM
the worst
deep
part.
inside, I really wouldn't have minded the Allosaur.
Dinosaur.
The Allosaur was so cool, I wanted it to be used, but the guy died. The monster died before he could use it.
Well, we'll use it in the next combat.
What do you mean? You don't think
Oh, you're looking at how much damage you would have dealt?
Yeah, 2d6 plus strength, which would have been like so a lot, especially because the strength would have been a lot.
I will say, you would have, if you would have kept rolling the like attack ally, you would have attacked Sardis. Because lightning has like almost fucking AC.
You guys have
that's the one nice thing though about a big creature is that technically it has less attack.
Yeah. But yeah, that fight was fine. It's more like I generally dislike traps that will make it so players don't get to do anything if they fail. Or the players will have a chance not to do anything if they fail.
Okay, I think the real issue with the Allosaurus is it's 19-20 crit range.
Yeah, that's the main issue. It's got a little bit of a beefy crit range, or better than most.
13-foot reach.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's one of those things that like it's unfortunate that it is very hard to have a limit on plans, and I think that's like that's a discussion for higher level play and stuff like that. I think would be great. But I think a lot of the concepts of it as to be kind of like something that alters the state of a room and makes it change a little bit is not a bad thing either.
No, absolutely not.
It's the one thing that I do feel like Scarwall does better than like something like Harrowstone.
The three rooms of Scarwall. Those 3 rooms were more fun than the entirety of Harrowstone. Harrowstone has the issue of it's a level 3 dungeon, so it kind of sucks because you're low level. You can't do a whole lot. Harrowstone is the first dungeon of the Carrion Crown adventure.
Got it.
And the Corpse Orgy, it was kind of mean, but like
that's just a weird monster, and I hate the name of it mostly.
It's a weird monster, and mechanically, it wasn't so easy for it to like do anything really terrible.
No,
like
because
we have a
free don't die card.
Yeah, and like I gotta be honest,
we do have a raised dead. We just have to like. Well, oh no, wait, but that place has.
Well, no, we all have I think our blessing lets us ignore one instant death effect, right?
Yeah.
That's true. I think it lets us re-roll a save against that effect.
No. I think it
Or
allows
automatically succeed. No, I think it's automatically succeed against it.
But again, like its main thing was shrieking a bunch and hitting you with its pseudopods, and then getting like up next to you, so it could theoretically try to.
As I saw, I killed it in like one turn.
But again, like it was like I was reading up on like how to make it work, and it was like, yeah, this is like something that's like a lot better for like it's supposed to be more for someone that's like paralyzed. Yeah, or like, disabled somehow, you know.
Thematically, it's a monster that fits, but it has weird abilities.
Yeah.
And it felt a little out of place because of those abilities.
Yeah, like Sonic Attack and stuff like that.
Yeah, Sonic Attack's always just kind of weird.
Yeah. But again, like, okay, we're kind of like talking about.
Yeah, we can deal with that later.
Yeah.
Sidetrack, yay!
So I tend not to use traps in combat.
Yeah.
Because traps have a CR, and that always alters combat balance. You need to balance around there being a trap. And Paizo does an okay job at that, but not always. Like with Harrison, right? Harrison had a few haunts that were combats that were just not very fun, but again, that's a little Pathfinder, which isn't fun in the first place in a lot of instances, because you can't do a whole lot.
I think a good boss fight has a dynamic aspect to it, whether that's an interesting room, a complex type trap, using kind of more of the loose terminology.
I'm a big Lair action person.
Yeah, those
are versus
good too.
Traps.
I think it's an interesting thing that, you know, exploring and hitting up a lot of these things, you know, it's something that you just... It's ways to cut the monotony in a lot of ways. I think it's the room of a challenge room, whether that is something like a trap on a magic trap, or in the case like there could just be the difficulty of something like we talked about with the entryway. It could be something as also simple as like, hey, there's a chasm here and you have to cross it as part of this area. That's a challenge, you know, and certainly your characters could have an easy way to get across it, but if no one has fly, or something like that.
Something that...
Yeah, like a good example would... like a good example I would say is like, you mentioned the gap. It's like, and if you wanted to integrate that into a combat, it could be just that, like, there's a 10-foot gap and there's people shooting at you with bows from across it. Yeah. What are you going to do, you know?
And you don't have to integrate in combat. That can just be a thing that, like, hey, your characters are going to have to overcome this. Are you going to set up that it will be some way that you can get back from overcoming it, or are you going to be stuck on the other side, which then comes to another dynamic of that adds a level of thought and challenge to this thing. You know, because I'm exploring an area, hey, now I'm over here. Man.
Do you want to take the time and resources to reinforce it so you can escape, or do you want to just quickly get across?
I am of the opinion that if you are doing a dungeon the size of Scarwell, which is an entire adventure book, for the most part, and if you're doing a big dungeon general, you should put rooms, traps, or otherwise, that make your players spend resources before further combat in the dungeon, because it should feel like a challenge going into something as big as Scarwell. And having players spend resources also helps you balance encounters later down the line.
I don't think
you basically want your players to spend resources, because if they don't, they'll get to a fight, and the fight will be way too easy.
Yeah. Yep. Interactive mass on the chase battle. I think it's also the thing that, like, your characters have now secured an area that, certainly speaking, over time, Scarwell would replace. But, like, maybe like over a couple of days or a week, you have an entryway now that you took the time to. Yes, you can go back and relax and rest and kind of heal up and be ready for it. But it's sort of like you took that effort already to set that up. You know, you've secured this entryway where you're now up to, like, this place with a bunch of things. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not going to really roll stuff in the pockets there. You know about it. You can do stuff with it. You can just say it's a lot easier just to, like, kind of like...
All the haunt would do is make us waste 10 turns.
Yeah. Or just, like... It's not worth it. I also think, like, one channel would probably get rid of it or something like that, too.
Just one of the things is... Yeah, this is the only really shadow haunts is their difficulty of removal. of them. You can't
Yeah.
really permanently removing them. They're kind of a puzzle in themselves. A lot of them are very vague in how you're supposed to get rid of them. And some of them you just can't get rid of.
I mean, I guess this one's at least simple, but also is like then the fact that it's just like you have to be in that room for a couple of rounds for it to activate. So like if it's just like, well, let's quickly just cancel the room and stuff like that, you're not in that worry about it. So I mean, again,
Traps are good.
It's-
You should use them, but
yeah,
remember that they have CR to them.
they have CR, they have challenge.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Even if you're kind of just on the fly winging things or just making like, you know, some kind of weird environmental thing that's happening, always remember that it does make the fight more difficult. So don't like do a full CR deadly encounter even in 5e. Even
Anything that can harm the player or requires them to spend a resource has a CR value to it.
Yep.
You have to determine that value and factor it into your combat.
Yeah. And the thing is, those things can be more malleable. Certainly speaking traps and, you know, the like type of stuff, they usually have a CR associated with them, or calculators to figure out the CR if you're, like, building something, you know? But environmental stuff, then you have to ask, how would this affect my players?
Yeah.
How would this harm my players? How, you know, it's this, if you have a gap and someone can fly, that's not too much of an issue as comparison to you have a gap and no one can fly. Or depending on the depths of the distance. Like, is one of your players able to jump across very easily? Oh, hey, we have an archer on our team, so that, and like some people with some good spellcast, ranged spells, so those people on the other side, we can have a battle with them very easily. We're not stuck being, you know, like, open to them. Questions like that for more environmental things. How is it challenged? What kind of resources is it taking and stuff like that? You know, those are very good questions that you kind of have to look at. And, again, I think it's, when you consider, you know, diving in, exploring, having adventures, characters that rest, can get their resources back, and that's fine. You don't have to then think about those returning resources. You have to think about it for when they are originally encountering it and beginning to explore. If they take the time to rest, certainly speaking, can set up some things possibly too. Like, there can be stuff of like, oh, hey, if enough time goes by, something like here happens or something like that. Which, again, like, I have some ideas if, like, a lot of time goes by, but it's, you know, it's a couple of days. It's probably, you're okay, generally speaking.
With the amount of healing we have, it's unlikely that we would need to rest a couple of days.
Yeah.
Unless it's a particularly nasty combat and someone dies.
And I can agree with Lightning. Sometimes it can suck that you have to use a lot of resources to get around something. Again, that makes it that it's too much of a challenge. You know, then it is, even if you're just whatever environment or situation in a room is too much of a challenge. I think it's that thing of like, what is it versus reward? Like, I think another challenge that I kind of described from doing Crimson Queen was when you were going after the King of Old Town, or whatever his name was, Pilk or something like that. When you were cleaning out that staircase, that was a balance of time versus resource versus planning that puts you in a very strategically great spot. It meant that the use of resources and time was more worth it than perhaps some other plans in certain ways, because you got back something too. If you just use a lot of resources for, hey, we just go to the next room, it doesn't feel as good too sometimes. Like, you know, you want it to be like something that's a challenge, but not so much that your players are just like, you know, bashing up against the wall and have to use a lot of stuff.
Yeah, part of me is fine as long as it's very much this. We secured this room and ensured us a way to get across consistently, or get through consistently. That's one thing. But I don't. So I tend not to mind if you have to spend a lot of resources, if it's a permanent solution. But if it's like you have to spend like 3 spells just to get across it, and you're gonna have to do the same thing to get back, that's more annoying.
Yeah.
You are designing a dungeon with these kind of obstacles. Take a step back, look at it, look at your whole dungeon, think to yourself, would I have fun doing this as a player?
Mm-hmm.
And
that's why, like,
here's the thing: different And honestly, your players still might not like it because everyone's different.
Yeah.
People like different things.
You have to ask if you're going to have fun. You have fun doing this. That's a very good question. And then you also have to see, like, it always is a good idea to get a sense of your players too. Especially like, if you're going to have a lot of traps, you're planning to have a place, maybe say like, hey, you can tell your players it was a place that has a lot of traps, and you can kind of get their opinions on it, in game / out of game, you get an idea how they're feeling about that. And if you really could, you could also be like, oh, hey, it's, this ancient place they're exploring, hey, some of the traps could have just gone off.
Yep.
You could just disable some of them, especially you get that feeling from your players. Or like, if your players are a lot more like, we just want to get into fights, a lot less on the exploring side, you can not have so many like exploring environmental kind of challenges and stuff like that, or things like that, or if you don't have people that can deal with magic, maybe not having magic traps would be a good idea. The same could be said if you're playing Pathfinder and you don't have like someone that can deal with haunts and supernatural stuff, like a divine caster. Well, then I'm not going to deal with that. It's you judge your team by both the players and the characters to a degree when you're building these and when you're reading them. You don't have to be perfect, but it helps to kind of read the room.
Yeah, and I'm also gonna say, don't make it so there's only one solution. Yeah. In fact, that's kind of the word. Like, puzzles are one thing, but like when it's like, okay, there's a thing across a gap, and if they don't hit this specific thing, they die. It's like, or just get seriously hurt, is not fun. It's like, you must you must find the hidden brick in the wall and push it to deactivate the trap before going across. Anything else you do will set it off. Like, that's not a fun trap.
When I design a trap-based puzzle, I have my solution, but I leave myself open to be like, well, if the players come up with something I like, I'll just let that be a solution. Or if my players, like in the last game I ran, where I had a bottle color puzzle, and Lightning was like, I want to just break the door down. I would have been totally fine. You could have just broke that door down and bypassed the whole damn puzzle. It was just a wooden door.
I think it's also the thing.
Broken that door.
It's if people notice a trap, and certainly speaking the easy ways, like, we just disabled the trap. But I would be open to players coming, like, asking me questions about it. Like, I think that's also the thing that, like, mechanical traps are really, in a way, the best then that way. I really like them the best because you can sometimes read how a mechanical trap works, especially, like, you can notice it with perception, but maybe if you go really good perception where you, like, investigate it, you're like, oh, this is how it works. I might not be good at disabling its mechanism. I can figure out how to overcome its mechanism,
Yeah, like if it's darts, you can see a hole in the wall. If it's a swinging scythe, you might see a small gap in the wall. If it's a pitfall trap, you might notice like that there's an out-of-place carpet in the middle of a hallway.
Magic traps are a little harder, but can possibly be done with that to a degree, especially if some people that can read magic and kind of understand what's going on.
In our current game of Pathfinder, for magical traps, I can just see them. I have a permanent detect magic up, and then at some point I'm going to have a permanent arcane sight up.
Yeah. I think the only one that I feel like does buck that trend a little bit is haunts, because
I was about to say that's the one annoying thing about the haunts.
Technically have multiple ways to sort of overcome them in quotations, but it's less dealing with what they do and just temporary killing.
How do you detect something? How do you detect something that's literally just an invisible ghost?
In normal dungeons, you could use the detect undead spell. However, we can't do that in this dungeon.
No, you can't.
You go blind.
Yeah, they make it very hard to detect the haunts.
It's like they've put these haunts which have some of them have a very high CR value. I don't know if any of the higher ones are in Scarwall. Because a lot of the higher ones are just instant death.
Again, I think there's
you can't detect them.
maybe
Can't detect undead because there's ghosts in the walls.
Because there's ghosts
like-
everywhere.
maybe like half a dozen of them, and at least the 3 that I can know off the top of my head are all honestly similar to this one. They are accompanying some kind of combat.
That's fine. As long as it's not an instant death. 'Cause the instant death ones just suck.
I don't think there are any instant death ones. I'd have to really dive.
I know the suffocation would be hard to exist in this dungeon because it has to deal with like a ship being sunk in a haunted ship kind of thing. So that would be hard to have in Scarwall. But there are a couple that are instant death that are
Basically,
like
if you
super
see-
high CR.
If you see a shipwreck in the middle of a large room, we're just going the other way.
Haunts.
Look-
I'm gonna look at the list of haunts.
Just
yeah.
walk into a room and there's just a
The
broken
highest haunt
ship,
is CR 18, which I don't think we're going to encounter the CR 18 haunt. That'd be weird to put in this dungeon.
I agree. That would be very unusual.
Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, there's the highest is CR 20, but that's like I think a specific haunt that exists in a specific location.
Yeah, that one is definitely just this is this.
Yeah, so there's one CR 18. The CR 18 one is the flayed suicide haunt, which is if you fail, you start like you just take 20 d6 slash damage and you're being flayed alive. That's the haunt. Super fun.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot that just aren't super cool, but the mid tier and low tier ones are mostly fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pathfinder 2e, by the way, also has hazards, it calls them.
Yeah.
It does not, however...
hazard's a good word for it, yeah.
Yeah. Which goes over simple and complex traps, which I actually think is a good... In fact, what's funny is I think 5e also has the exact same terminology as simple and complex traps, whereas this is simple and complex hazards. Simple ones, they go off once and then they're done. Complex ones continue every round. They're kind of more like an encounter. And that's actually the delineation in both Pathfinder and 5e.
Haunts have always sat in this weird like zone of I get why they exist. They have a level of complexity that isn't that fun at times. And they're just like annoying. Whereas a trap can be fun. A magic trap can be fun. A haunt is usually just kind of annoying.
It's an unfortunate thing that like I understand it a lot, and I like it on a conceptual level as a hazard. It's just I think that's why I think second edition does it a little better, because they standardize all the hazards, and then it just happens to be like, because I think haunts are under that. There was one of the books that talked about haunts. I remember.
Yes, haunts are under hazards.
So they kind of simplify things together a little bit.
Yeah, I think. Let me see. I think I know the book you're talking about, and I think I own it.
Also, I did check because I wanted to. There are indeed 6 exact haunts in Scarwall. So you might not encounter one of them. I mean, like, depending on where you explore to. If you miss a room, you might not find one. You know, there's sometimes that can happen. But yeah, so you've encountered one of 6. Also, like, I didn't actually notice any traps, but again, like, it's filled with like undead, so they probably don't have traps.
Yeah.
It makes sense that there really isn't any of those. And I think that's the kind of thing, is like, having hazards of different types is good, because then it, like, situationally, like, story-wise, it makes sense sometimes, too. Because I think that's also an important development they've kind of been, like, working on in a lot of ways. But, yeah, so, hazards, which can be, you know, the actual, like, you know, traps, haunts, and stuff, environmental hazards, are an important concept, I think, of your dungeons, because they are not only going to be stuff that's going to hit your characters in certain ways, challenge them in certain ways, but it will end up sometimes that, you know, again, I think it cuts tension more than just it's an empty room or it's a monster.
Yep.
I mean, like, sometimes you can do treasure in either of those, which helps too, but, like, the more things that gives variety sometimes is good too. It's sort of like, we have something for, like, interrupting Adventures in Star Walls that we're talking about, and I actually came up with a couple more things that you guys can possibly do, depending on how many days go by. You know, so if more days go by, something will happen that you can be, like, contacted, be like, oh, hey, we need you to teleport here to do this thing. You know, that's minor, that might take a session.
Yeah, I think especially with like a dungeon like Scarwell, having some breakup points might be nice. Just because oops all combat.
I have a couple of them. I don't know how long it's going to take, but, you know, it just depends on how many times you rest, depends on how many of you are going to encounter.
It really, the resting is really going to depend on like how beat up we get, which is, after 4 rooms, just making a beachhead, I can safely say we will probably deal with 5 to 6 encounters where we have to get rest every day.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so more of the haunt stuff. They still call them hazards, obviously. But yeah, there's a lot of them in Dark
Archives, have an equivalent to haunts. I don't think 5e does.
They list only, I think, like... Actually, I can
5e kind of gives... Because 5e kind of gives you, like, basic trap rules and magic trap rules, and they don't really give a lot of hard examples, I think,
They have 8 examples.
8? Yeah, 5e has a lot of make it yourself.
Yeah.
5e is very, like, not good at hazards.
I'll give you some advice right here, right now. Dear viewers who may run games, if you are running a dungeon, and there's a rope bridge, don't put a Summon Monster 6 trap on the fucking rope bridge that summons an Aranus. That's stupid. That's a dumb trap. Yes, that's a dumb trap. That almost killed 2 party members for no good reason.
I'm going to say something about it. I ran that 2 other times. You guys had the most difficult of it, and I realized what it was. You had over half the team.
Yeah, we were all good people.
Yeah.
We all made good
All the other teams that played it had good characters, but it was usually either 1 or 2.
Oh, like, weird that this campaign that was described as dealing with undead, we all made good aligned characters.
I mean, like, the other ones, I understood why people weren't necessary, because was kind of awful. So you're just like,
all of our party in Carrying Crown also sucked.
Yeah. So, there was a lot of issues with Carrying Crown.
Yeah, so haunts in Pathfinder 2e count as magical traps.
Makes sense.
Okay. I think that's fine. You know,
yeah, that's perfect. That is perfectly reasonable. Instead of having just the third weird nebulous category.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, there probably is some more unique rules that maybe, like, I would assume that a haunt maybe couldn't be dispelled like a normal magical trap could, but if it has, like, basically the same kind of rules, that makes sense. You know, they're just, like, certain things. I don't know. I'd have to really dive into the depths with the second edition stuff, but I like that they refined them and figured them out better. You know, it was an interesting type of hazard.
It's also a mention that's a minor complaint about Pathfinder traps. There are a few magical traps and supernatural traps that specifically target lawful, chaotic, good, or evil. That just makes it so all of your players are going to pick true neutral.
Yeah. Alignment-based stuff really isn't good.
Don't make alignment-based traps. They're not fun.
I am glad that's no longer a thing in 2E.
Yep. It's good that they removed it.
I mean, like, I'm going to tell you this.
I know people still use alignment. Don't make alignment-based hazards.
Like,
it's just not fun. It's just fun for specific players.
The Internus trap was an alignment-based trap that wasn't an alignment-based trap. What do I mean by that? I had to check the Uranus' stats to see, it just
had an alignment-based ability.
Yeah, it's like Unholy Blast at will, or whatever the damaging good spell was, you know?
I just remember what happened to Joe in the Pyre game with the 4 Aranuses, where Joe made the only good character, just kept getting absolutely fucking melted by 4 Aranuses in a tiny room.
Okay, so I want to say, this trap, I just find the way you disable this trap, it's kind of more of the haunt kind of thing, because it's in the Dark Archives book, but it's like, basically, it's like a weirdly tilting room that, like, doesn't seem to be straight and gives you some, like, mental effects. But one of the ways to disable it is crafting to calculate the room's dimensions despite the illusions breaks it.
I'm like, I'm gonna science this bitch, man.
Yeah, see, those kind of traps are fun.
Yeah.
I really like that you can science the hell out of it and get rid of its problem.
It says, or you can cast Dispel Magic. It's like,
okay.
Because it is an illusion, technically.
I always love, like, things, and Pathfinder does this a lot, where there's, like, an illusion-based thing. You can just be like, I don't believe in you, and roll a will save to disbelieve.
Yeah.
Man, there's some fun stuff that I think like you have for developing environments that are really good.
A lot of really good tools. You just gotta use them, right?
Yes. So, I think that kind of handles that. I just wanted to kind of chat about that a little bit to like get people to feel like there's important stuff to do with it, and just to keep in mind how to develop it and put it together. And, use it wisely, whether or not you just have a room that has the trap itself, or you have, another situation where, it's part of a different encounter. Either way, it is, adding to the complexity and environment of where you are exploring. So, right. Why don't we kind of go on about our week in game, because we did have... I think I had, 4 games this week?
Yes, I believe you did. I think I had the same number.
You had the same number. That's true. We started off with Joe's game, but all 3 of us were in it. I think it went fine.
So I have an opinion on Joe's game that has nothing to do with Joe's game, because I think he's actually doing a fine job with it.
Mm-hmm.
I know I know the module he's running.
Yeah.
It's dumb.
Yep.
It's a dumb module. If you want context, he is pulling from a module that is a 98-page booklet that is a level 1 to 17 adventure.
Yep.
It came with the Planescape book. It's bad. It's not a well-made module. I think Joe is doing the best he can with it, but it really has a lot of issues.
Yeah.
I kind of have to agree with you, because it's sort of like... he's doing the best he can with what he's working on.
The thing that made me look into it was the Mezzoloth room. So I'm like, surely Joe wouldn't make something like this, because even I know he is not the greatest of DMs or the most experienced. Surely he wouldn't have 2 creatures that can just cloud kill down a ladder. And I looked up, that's just in the adventure path.
Yep.
They do that. They just do that in the adventure path.
Does it say what
it says,
level they're supposed to be?
Oh, you're supposed to do the dungeon at level 4 in the adventure.
We're level 6.
Yeah, that is a level 4 dungeon, according to that booklet.
Nearly killed us at level freaking 6.
This is just basically the Lost Mines problem with that final battle.
It's the Lost Mines issue.
When it's just it's the bugbear that can just one-shot a player.
It's dumb. It's like, and Joe, bless her, is really doing his best, and the session was very funny and fun.
Yep.
Even if I didn't say a whole lot, because I kind of spaced out halfway into it.
I think the setting, and he's doing it well. Personally, I enjoyed it outside the game. I think figuring out my character in there, it's sort of it's an interesting juxtaposition of the extreme, this is way too lawful for my characters to say.
Too much order.
Too much order. Look, I'm neutral good kind of character, so I'm just then what? What the fuck is going on?
I have a mechanic going on with my character where I took one of the new feats that came with the Planescape book and one of the Planescape backgrounds. I am aligned to lawful planes.
Mm-hmm.
So that is why my character was like, this place is fine.
Yeah. The silliness of the bureaucracy. So
was very dumb.
Happened, we arrived at the Mechanist city, and it was stupid. Don't you Feral Boulay me?
Feral Boulay.
No, that's okay. I'm not gonna lie.
I think I've heard the story.
That's the thing I did in the game, because mechanically, I made 2 monsters using the mechanics of the 3.5 monster creation rule. But no, it's 3.0 monster creation rules.
Oh, even older.
Yeah, even older. And the one was supposed to be CR 10, and the other was supposed to be CR 13. The character's pretty high level. You know, the 10 one was, they were supposed to be like level like 11 or 12, I think. I can't remember exactly. So, you know, one was supposed to be much difficult battle, you know, and I set it up such a way that, like, you could run from the second battle. Well, the first one was so super more difficult, you know. It just ended up that way somehow by combining, you know, a boule with the feral template and, like, the situation. It just was murdered. But, so, like, yeah, I can understand things being unbalanced, unaccidental, as Blaze was mentioning. But, yeah, so Mechanist place, too much bureaucracy, you just was kind of annoying.
It was very much just, if you wanted to, do this the legitimate way, I did like how he described it. It's basically, he's like, you roll, like, 3d6, and that's the number of, like, hour. No, it was 3d12, and that's the number of hours it takes you to get through the line. And then you have to roll, like, 2d4, and then that's, like, the number of days it takes you to fill out the paperwork, and then you have to make a perception check, and if you fail the perception check, you accidentally missed a line in the form, and you have to start over.
I do like that as a drop piece for roleplay.
I do.
Having players deal with extreme bureaucracy.
Yeah, you know, it was definitely like a thing where, like, you know, Bander had to be like, nah, this is not my bureaucracy. I like just like the
hashtag not my bureaucracy.
Yeah. So it was an interesting thing because I do like how everyone's like, oh, Bander would love this place. I'm like, I hate this place.
No, it's the gift that actually loves this place. Weirdly enough,
it's like look, can we go back to the
I think it's reasonable
casino?
That I don't like it.
I like the casino.
You want to go back to the crime casino?
I at least can read what the people are going to do at the crime casino.
Oh, sure. You don't have to look at the fucking weird flesh cube men.
Yeah.
Oh
god, that's right. Oh god, they're so like
they're
partially
gross.
machine.
I hate them.
Anyway. So
I'm gonna go kill a guy or something.
Yeah, we're gonna totally figure out what we're doing here. We
gotta go kill a guy to get access to the gate quicker.
Oh, that's right. We have to kill a guy to get access.
Otherwise,
to the gate.
your skeleton friend's gonna have to wait like a week in line.
But like, I guess we don't want to wait a week. Again, it was just like, I'll promise you gold, and I'm like, I don't want gold.
I promise you money that you're not going to use.
I'm like, I really just. So we had a Monday game.
If you have enough, you could just buy like a level. I mean, honestly, we really should have like level 1 weapons by now, or +1 weapons.
My weapons are +1 because of my class.
I don't use weapons if I don't have to.
Why use magic weapons when your fists are magic?
Why use magic weapons when I can just make fun of someone and it causes their brain to explode?
Why use magic weapons when you can cast this Mockery and roll 2 1s?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we had a Monday. Did I even... No, I did do something. Okay.
We had some conversations that I think needed to happen, and then we started the second year of school.
I didn't do a lot.
We all agreed to go kill my boyfriend's dad.
Look, it's on the list of people to murder.
It's on the list of monarchs we need to kill.
Look, you know, Heron would rather not kill the monarchs, but like he's...
Well, one's a super old guy who you're like sus of that he's a lich.
You know, look, both of them I really don't think are really doing good and kind of...
one is literally a fascist.
Yeah.
Who turned his wife into a ghoul. I think it's safe to assume that guy might be evil.
Look, you know, my entire thing is, like, I'm probably not going to help... Well, it's sort of like, I'm going to incidentally help you kill the man. I'm not going to stop you if you kill the man.
Well, you're helping Sam kill him, not me.
Yeah, like, look, if you take care of this, I'm going to help you get there, but I'm not going to help in the end.
You help him kill his dad, he helps you kill an old man.
You know, and then maybe afterwards, you know, he can help with, like...
And then we can kill Joshwin's family, because they also suck.
I really just have to ensure that they have, like, some cosmic balance in this. Like, you know, look, I'm trying my best. I'm a Redeemer Paladin. I'm trying my best.
You picked the wrong class, apparently, for the political assassination school game.
I know, it's terrible, but
also,
great.
we talked to some rats, and that was weird, and I kind of hate them.
Okay, I looked it up. At level 6, we should have +1, and actually some of us should start getting +2s. In fact, you can start getting +2s at around level 5.
It's one of those weird things where, like, 5e1 should have items, but 5e doesn't give you the resources to know actually, like, how to give players those items.
No.
Yeah, I'm happy that they're fixing that in the new version.
What else did we do? I don't think we did much
will.
else
They've
besides
said they
make
will.
many
I mean,
plottings against the kings.
Okay, I'm gonna say this here, and I do want to talk to River about this. Perrin is being really nice to these Smite Ball people, but really, really, really doesn't care about Smite Ball.
Oh, also,
he's only helping
stop
them
a terrorist
because
attack.
we did stop a terrorist attack. You know, well, you guys did. I was
you
busy
talked
trying.
football.
I fuck football, and I'm trying to get the football players to stop giving themselves brain damage. It's all I want, because I really feel bad for them. But I really don't want to be involved with this anymore.
You're in a different game than we are.
I'm like, can I not be involved in this anymore? Like, when the person's like, I can find a job for you, I'm like, I'm politely going to decline this. I basically, that's what I said. I'm like, I don't want this. Ew. So that was fun. And then we had a new game where it's interesting so far. Oops, all investigations.
Yeah, you did some investigation. You wouldn't investigate a horrific murder scene.
Yeah. There was a bunch of people that were,
guy was magically flayed alive. There was a cool, foreboding mural in his house.
Yeah.
His servants were drained of all their blood.
Yeah. Some of it was probably used to draw some runes, and some of it was probably used to feed a vampire.
You learned a critical piece of information. You learned it was probably a vampire.
Goddamn vampires.
And then you went to the basement and fought a thing that no one rolled high enough to understand. It was a horrible undead monster.
I don't think I've encountered many of them, so assume that's why I didn't really.
Yeah, you've been hired on to investigate a murder because I vaguely hinted at it through the frustrations of the leader of the Blood Hunters that the politicians of the city kind of want this solved quickly so they can just move past it. And that's usually bad for investigations. Fun fact: when they're swept under the rug like that. That's maybe why your Inquisitor was like, yeah, we were told not to really investigate the two servants.
The entire thing just smells of, problems.
You went to a casino, and you met a sassy bartender who was upset you didn't tip better.
I didn't talk to them, so I wasn't going to tip.
Yeah, you're just like an elf.
I'm just like an elf that, everybody thinks I hate elves, and I don't technically hate other elves. I hate elf society is what it is. I think the way that elf society goes is not the correct way.
You hate that you live in a society.
I just don't like their attitudes. The way that they were described, I think it's wow, that's it.
They're very, elves kind of suck in river setting.
Yeah,
elves kind of suck in most settings. Dwarfs are better.
That's pretty why I left the continent, because I'm I'm gonna just go somewhere else.
Yeah, you went to go, treasure hunting and got roped into a murder investigation.
Look, I'm all about finding some information out, and exploring and discovering, and it just so happens that there's a murder there, and I've got a certain set of skills.
Yeah, you're a weirdo.
Mm-hmm.
And your names were passed this guy by someone unknown to you.
So.
But yeah, you did some investigations. You guys made some good progress. You didn't quite get through everything I had prepped for session 1, but I tend to over prep anyways. But you guys made some good headway. You learned stuff. I forgot to have Lightning roll something, so I have to reveal something next session. That was an important detail that I just forgot. The old fox person would probably know this. They want to roll for it.
I'm old, but I probably don't know it.
I think it was a good session 1. It had a combat. I'm going to try to do one combat per session because I know I have some players who aren't super roleplay or investigaty. I'm going to try for one combat per session at least.
I guess that does help with kind of balancing a lot of those, of that kind of stuff.
Because I know Lynn is playing a martial class, and martials don't tend to get investigate skills.
And then we had Wednesday, which we talked a lot about. It was 3 rooms. It was
3 rooms of combat.
Yeah. It was the first area, which was also overcoming the doors. Then it was the weirdly named...
The corpse orgy. Someone had fun naming that one.
Thanks, Pathfinder.
So just named it something else.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, it's like one of those weird things of like, it's originally from some ancient book, and they did redo it, because that was still 3.5 version of Pathfinder. They did redo the stats for the updated book. But yes, this is like the only place you find it then. It's like such a weird monster. And then, a unique rate. In a haunt. So, yeah. I think it went pretty good. It was interesting. It could have been a lot worse, honestly, for these
I thought it was a fine session.
Yeah.
I think we made good plans, I think. And then we just kind of all rolled badly on a save.
Yeah. I think it was some very good rolls, too.
I do feel bad for Joe, who like fails every will save in the game every time.
He's done so much to have better will saves, but every time he rolls a will save,
he just rolls like a 2.
I know, it's sort of like, you set it up that you actually have a pretty decent one, that you really shouldn't fail this, but you just...
Oh yeah, the scream attack was brutal.
That was mean.
I think it's... I don't know if it's come across. I've kind of like... Sylvana's been a little sillier this dungeon, because she's just kind of comfortable in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just taking the dude's skull to wear as a hat, because she didn't have a hat as a dragon.
Yeah.
It's
fine.
There is a category besides magical and mechanical, and there is a haunt in Pathfinder 2e. Sorry.
I'm guessing it's a subtype of...
It's still a hazard.
Yeah. Probably there's some unique rules, particularly for that type of hazard, that, specified differently. They've made them all hazards, standardized their rules to a degree.
It's just basically, you have to use religion to disarm it, but you can still actually disarm it.
That actually is kind of the neater way of doing it, honestly, too, than just I cast a lot of positive energy to kill it temporarily.
Yeah, it's
disarm it with religion.
Or it's religion or occultism you have to use to disable haunts.
Yeah. I like that. That's an interesting way of doing it. Anyway, but that was our week. I think it was a pretty good week. It was a lot of games. I'm not going to lie. I think for me, it's like I think I've thought about it more. It's like I don't mind 6:30 games, but with my current schedule, it's very tight for me.
Fair.
So I think that's what it is. It's sort of like I don't have, if something happens, I don't have a lot of extra time on Mondays and Tuesdays currently.
I know.
Just with the way my schedule can go.
For me, the 6:30 is mostly for Lynn and Cell, their work. Yeah.
It's not impossible for me to do. It's just like, I've reflected upon like kind of, starting a little later would be my preference for stuff. Granted, not like I don't need super late. Like I don't need goddamn carrying or
that game's a little too late. I'm like almost. I feel it some nights. I'm like, God, I wake up the next day exhausted. Sometimes.
I'm definitely at the point of like I would like it to be earlier, but we have to like we put it there for Joe, and when his schedule changes,
we'll see. Definitely, the next game maybe should be run like a little earlier.
I definitely will at least put it back an hour, if not more. The next time I run one, I'll just figure it out. Anyway, all right. I guess unless we're gonna chat about it, we can leave it there. Thank you everybody for joining us. Momo, do you have anything to shout out?
Shout out to I don't know. Go play Alan Wake 2. It's a great game.
Worm. Now you were shouting out shout outs.
Yeah, I'm DiamondWyrm. You can find me on twitch.tv/DiamondWyrm or at DiamondWyrm on Twitter. I have so much to do. I'm not sure I'm even going to stream that much this week, but my next time, if I do stream, will be tomorrow. But we'll see. I have to start getting stuff. I finally got accepted for my apartment, so I need to start doing things like getting renter's insurance and putting down a down payment, etc.
it's the thing of like you're in a better position for it, but now you have a lot of work to do now that you actually have that good position for it. Yeah.
Yep. Well, yeah. Now that I've actually been accepted, I have to do all the stuff that comes with that.
Well,
Yep. So, lucky to have it. Myself, Dracovin. I hope you've enjoyed. This is my stuff up on my channel and stuff like that. My general schedule for next week for streaming, if you want to check that stuff out, is going to be most days of the week. Tabletop stuff's Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays. Currently, Elden Ring all the other days. Monday, I'm going to be doing some more chatting stuff for a while, and if I have a little extra time, I will do Elden Ring. But if not, we'll figure it out. I found out when all my, I was trying to fix something, and then it caused accidentally all my cookies to be erased. My, saved things for, my wheels that I had on the randomizer website got all erased, so I've got to redo those. It was one of those things of, I was trying to fix a problem, and rather than just, erasing, I was trying to get it just erased, a couple of days. It erased everything. And I'm like, well, screw you. Anyway, so I'll be working on that stuff. And then, remember to check out Crimson Queen, Wednesday at 9, EST, and then join us again next week at 6 o'clock in the evening as we go once again live, or just catch us on YouTube and stuff. I need just social media stuff down below. Anyway, alright everybody, goodbye, see you next time. Bye.